Welcome, world, wherever you are sitting around the globe, to our post COP30 webinar short. Yeah, quite likely you have been to our webinar before we went to COP. Yeah, now in the last weeks, COP30 took place in Brazil, in beautiful Amazonia, in Belém, in the city of Belém, and we have been there and we ran our message and we worked on our message. And this is what we promised to do just short before Christmas, that we give you a short update, yeah, on what happened there, how was it, how was the work. Because, you know, it's not easy for us not being there. Also me, I've not been there. The three others here on the screen, they have been there. You know them already. I haven't been there. And you hear something from the news, read something in the newspaper, see something on television, what is going on, that discussion, that discussion. But as far as I know, and I think we will hear about this, there is so many going on behind the scenes, which is even maybe much more important for our agenda than all the political things that are going on in the first line. And this is the reason why we meet here again. So again, a warm welcome. We have let me introduce you the three people we will talk today again. You know them already if you have been there for our pre-COP30 webinar. First of all, let's welcome Luciana Pellegrino. She is president of WPO, the World Packaging Organization. And it's early in the morning for her, so please, she looks just fresh from the fresh from the scratch. Yeah. Thank you so much that you're here with us even that early time. Then we have Alden Hilbrands from FSSC Foundation, yeah, from the certification system, and he nearly was also there. He will report on this, yeah, but he and FSSC supported and is supporting our agenda on reducing food loss and food waste quite strongly. And we will hear what is going on that side. And last but not least, you can see here on the screen Ali Badane. He is chief of the food division of UNIDO, United Nations Industrial Development Organization. And yeah, not only that he has been on COP, there was a UNIDO conference in between and whatsoever. I'm very happy, Ali, that you made it also in these stressy weeks, days before our winter breaks, because I know it's not easy to get you on the screen. So we are really proud to have about this. So the technical things, we have about 1 hour time. Yeah, I will close my opening remarks quite soon. You know, we have that discussion forum, we have that question and answer thing. Yeah, the thing will run like this, that all of the three of them will talk about 5-10 minutes about their impressions on about COP30 in Brazil just some weeks ago. What was their impression? What is their message from COP30? And then after this, we have time enough to discuss what was the outcome, and even more important, I guess, what are now the next steps. Okay, first we take a break now, yeah, maybe in the next weeks or days, yeah. But then after the seasonal holidays, we should start again working on our agenda, yeah, because it's simply too important to get blocked by any vacations or holidays or whatever. So that's it. Please, we also need your contribution again, because your questions, your comments, I can read it, and we will try again to answer all of your questions or your comments you have in the chat or in the question and answer section. Mm-hmm. So that's from my side. Luciana, may I invite you to present your impressions? Well, for you, it was maybe not so exotic because you are from Brazil, but as far as I know, you are down there from Sao Paulo, going to the very north of Brazil, really to the jungle, to Amazonia. It's really also different for you, wasn't it?
Exactly, Johannes. Yes, it's a totally different place and environment, even though it is Brazil. It was my second visit to Belém, and definitely the most special one. So just to start, a very welcome to all of you. Also, a special warm welcome to Ali and to Aldin. So nice to join you again to bring a little bit of our insights of what we experienced through this COP30, how can I say, edition. And also a very warm welcome to everyone that is joining us. I see some WPO board members here, so nice to have you with us. So COP30, it was definitely an iconic edition of COP. I mean, as Johannes said, it took place in the heart of the Amazon in Belém, and it's a humid place. It's a very hot place. It's not a wealthy region at all, but that was the idea of the Brazilian government to bring everyone to experience what it is to live in this region and what are the challenges to fight against deforestation. After all, when we are discussing climate change, I mean, the Amazonia region has a huge impact on it. And it is challenge, as everyone could see, all the ones that were there, how it is to fight deforestation. There are so many challenges. It is such a how can I say, I mean, an experience that it's not an urban area, and I have some pictures to show to you. But that's the commitment the Brazilian government wanted. I mean, let's face how challenging it is to fight against deforestation and other challenges, and let's work together and build collaboration on top of that. And those were, I mean, that was a key and a buzzword at COP30. It's about taking action. All the panels, all the discussions were about it's time to take action. Also, a very buzzword throughout COP was collaboration. I mean, nobody can do it alone. Nobody can contain climate change alone, not even the government. So, collaboration was clear that only through collaboration we can, yes, bring in projects, we can put on effort that will support in very small steps, in very specific areas to fight against climate change. And another very buzzword at COP30 was connection. And that is the impression I got by being there. It was all about building connections, very strong connections, very powerful connections, and the ones that will allow us to build collaborations and to take action. So it's everything is connected. For some persons, and we, of course, we have read that through the media. I mean, it was not a success in the perspective of some. I mean, some were not happy about the outcomes. And to tell you the truth, even the Brazilian environmental ministry, Marina Silva, she ended her speech at COP30 when closing the session saying that we made progress, albeit modest. So, and that is what COP is about. It's about moving on a governmental level, small steps in each edition. It's not that the climate solution will come in one COP edition, but it's about understanding what are the challenges and understanding how governments can move on. And it's really, really challenging on a country level because then they have to revise their country strategy, their economy, and how they are running the economy. So one of the main targets that were to reduce fossil fuel use, it wasn't reached because it does impact the economies on a country level. But on the other hand, it's not that it's lost. It's not that we haven't made any progress, as Marina Silva said, because we took one step to understand what is needed to reduce the fossil fuel use, what is needed to foster renewable energy. And it is growing worldwide, the use of renewable energy. What are the technologies we need in place? What is the financial support we need in place? COPI also discussed a lot how to support the vulnerable countries, how to discuss finance, how to support to finance such projects and technologies, how we accelerate this transition to the clean energy, how we look at the social impacts. And that was really clear at COP30 in Belém, because we had an open participation for the public, manifestations for all the ones that are being affected by climate change. And what we could understand from that is that we cannot only look at environmental issues, we have to bring alongside social issues, because only combining social and environmental progress and economic ones is how we can really pursue to fight climate change. So even though on a governmental level, it's a step by step that we can progress. It's really about building this momentum to bring up the discussion. By being there, I really can bring a very different perspective of a very successful momentum to bring together the stakeholders, the decision makers, to align on an action plan. So this is what COP was about, bringing in together all the ones that can support action, that can support projects, and that can discuss together, different alternatives. So what we saw in the media, and that was really interesting, because at the same time I could follow what the media was showing about coffee, about COP, what they were expressing about COP was not we were experiencing there, because it's not easy to express. How strong and how bold this experience is to foster and to unlock new possibilities. So what I can share with you that it was, that the message that I really think it's worth it sharing over here is that COP made it clear that us as private sector, as civil society, we cannot wait for the government. We can to take action and to fight alone about against climate change. The government will set the rules, is setting some directions and guidelines. Definitely, regulation is a key aspect on it, driving a common goal across sectors, across society. But what COP made it clear for all the ones that were there experiencing is that us as private sector, as civil society organizations, we are the ones that can make the difference on a local level. We are the ones that can run specific projects. We are the one that must collaborate with governments, with other organizations in order to be able to run such kind of projects. And it is why we were there as well. As WPO, as UNIDO, as FSSC, we were there ready to propose, how we can drive packaging supporting sustainable food chains and sustainable food systems in order to avoid food loss and waste that, according to FAO, represents approximately 8% of global greenhouse gases emissions. So that's a lot, that's huge. If food loss and waste was compared to a country's emission, it would be the third largest country in terms of emission, just behind the USA, just behind China. So that is really significant. But we don't look at that. We miss that perspective most of the time. So that's what we were willing to raise, this awareness that how can we drive solutions on a local level on developing countries, establishing sustainable food chains through packaging systems, bringing efficiency and avoiding loss and waste throughout the consumption chain. So some really key aspects from COP is that it brought together organizations that together can build and leverage collaboration. It really brought together persons really engaged and involved in unlocking the solutions. A lot of conversation going on, not only at COP pavilions, but also outside COP as well. So while COP was hosting the formal conversations at the Blue Pavilion for governments and countries and international organizations, in the Green Pavilion open to the public, or even in the Yellow Pavilion focused on agriculture. Besides the pavilions, throughout Belém, throughout the city, lots of conversations were going on. Many gatherings and panels and discussions. Bringing together experiences, exchanging knowledge, exchanging insights, and especially inspiring each other. How can we move forward? What is the next step? So it was really a very bold conversation. And there is so much going on, and it's not enough. I mean, we have to keep on going. Also, very interesting to point is that there is money out there to finance sustainable projects, sustainable solutions, different technologies towards sustainability. The project, the finance is there, the money is there from different organizations. And definitely, we need to understand how can we collaborate, how can we partner with them to order to be the ones bringing in the solutions, working on the solutions. So we need to learn, I mean, how they work, how financing works, how we can collaborate to work on this, on different projects, and how we can bring into our perspective. Something very important from this edition is that food loss and waste was a key topic being discussed throughout the Blue Pavilion. Different organizations raised this awareness, and definitely because at the end of COP28, 160 countries signed a declaration on sustainable agriculture, on resilient food systems, and climate change. So this topic is already being recognized as a focus to fight against, but we were the ones bringing the packaging perspective. Definitely, I mean, I think we were the only ones bringing the packaging perspective. It's a new perspective, but definitely it is the key tool that drives and supports food loss and waste. So we did play a key role in bringing in the packaging perspective. And let me point that food loss and waste was not the only perspective that was the one that packaging industry can play a very strong contribution. At this edition at COP, also circular economy came along as a very hot topic being discussed throughout different panels because it also impacts the climate. So different organizations and on a governmental level, on the private sector level, on a social level as well, circular economy came up in a very strong way, and how we can foster circularity, how can we really use recycled material, and with that, save a lot of CO2 emission throughout the consumption chain. So it drives us to understand that driving sustainable consumption chains is now raising as a very strategic discussion. And behind driving sustainable consumption chains, we have avoiding food loss and waste, we have enhancing and elevating packaging circularity. So as packaging industry, we must be part of the conversation. We cannot say, okay, we are a B2B business, let's stay home, let's run our plants and just, wait for brands or governments to discuss how we are addressing climate change. No, it made very clear at COP30 that we are part of this conversation, and we need to be there to raise the voice for packaging as part of the solution, as an industry that can contribute to bringing technology to foster different systems, really to enhance food chains across the globe, which will bring not only environmental benefits through avoiding loss and waste and CO2 emissions, but will bring a social growth as well, economic growth as well, and that is directly related to the environmental impacts. So very, very strong discussions over there, and it's a lesson to us. Let's always be part of the conversation. Let's bring our perspective. Let's connect with other organizations. Other organizations that most of the time we don't know they are there. So many different organizations attending COP. And by being there, we were just bumping to one to another and getting to know them and meeting, and now having the opportunity to bring new perspectives. So I know I think I used my 10 minutes, but let me just share, Johannes, if it's okay, some photos about COP. Is that okay? Johannes is laughing. I think he's cutting my
Yeah,
mic.
sure. No, it's fine, it's fine. Go.
No cutting mic, okay? Okay, here. Yeah, oh well, so raising the WPO flag at COP30, definitely. Really proud to be there representing our global organization, representing the 66 countries that are part of WPO, our board members that are so engaged in our activities, that are so engaged in everything that we have been doing. So great to have WPO flag over there. This is a snapshot of the heart of the Amazon. I know Ali had the opportunity of this experience as well. I mean, to enter the forest that was just across the river from Belém, and to experience a little bit the power of the nature. I mean, it's so powerful, and it's so. It's such an experience to be there and experience this environment and see how it is important really to protect it and to live alongside it. But this is COP, the main entrance. Everyone has seen it in different pictures. Very hot spot and well organized. By the way, Belém welcomed us with their arms opened. Beautiful city. Very nice, very clean city, good transportation. At the end, so much was is spoken about the preoccupation on housing for sure and hotels accommodations that were not enough. It's not a huge city at all. It's a small town and not used to such kind of events. But we could stay at Airbnb, and at the end, I do believe everyone was well accommodated. The restaurants were amazing. You can have great fish over there, historical places, beautiful to be visit. So Belém did welcome us in a very, very warm way. And definitely, the Brazilian government was brave to take this lead and promote such kind of international gathering in over there and try to accommodate everyone in the best place. So Lilian Benzi, that is our press officer, was there with me. Also, Isabella Salibi, that is the sustainability manager for ABRE, the Brazilian Packaging Association. So we were all together and really exploring COP through the Green Pavilion, the Blue Pavilion, and around the city together. Belém has its challenges, as you can see the sky here in this photo. Almost every day at 5 p.m., it pours down a very, very heavy rain. But again, the pavilion did, cope with it, and we were safe inside, and everything went really smoothly. This was our panel exploring the role of packaging in driving a sustainable and resilient global food system. So we were all together there, somehow in presence, somehow in video. Aldin will tell you some more about it. And we had the support of Wageningen University and Research moderating also the panel with us. And of course, we were not there just to talk about packaging, but we were bringing science-based data. So based on this document published by WPO, UNIDO, and Wageningen University and Research, that is called Navigating the Food Loss and Waste Paradox, we could, bring the foundation on how we can balance food loss and waste with safe food packaging based on data, based on science, based on life cycle analysis. So that is what drove our discussion, our panel. And definitely, we are moving forward now, developing a tool, a self-assessment tool to track the critical gaps and areas on food loss and waste on a local level, because there is a lot to be done from now on. This is the Blue Pavilion, just an image coming in. This day, it wasn't crowded. It wasn't the crowded day. It could be even much more crowded than this. Most of the days it was. But as you can see, we have like country booths, arenas, and we have governmental arenas as well. What is really interesting up from this edition is that each space, each booth was in fact, how can we say that, a stage to host a conversation. So not only in the Blue Pavilion as it is this one, but also in the Green Pavilion, every booth, that you can see here hosted like a stage area to bring in specialists, to bring in stakeholders, to promote such kind of conversations. Here is where we had our session at the Action on Food Hub. They hosted us, they welcomed us to raise our discussions. And here our panel, so Ali moderated it. We brought in all the facts on bringing science, bringing guidelines and references to support this discussion and to drive sustainable food chains across the world. And also, so here with Auding in the screen, as you can see, and Ria from the Wageningen University, we hosted our panel. Looks like Auding is I mean, in a hot weather more than we are, but it's the opposite. He was in the air conditioning, very comfortable, using suit, and we were there definitely, sweating a little bit in such a humid and warm place. But it wasn't only us at WPO panel. As I mentioned, COP is about connecting different organizations, is about connecting different discussions. So here we are with Tatiana, that is from the International Fruit and Vegetable Juice Organization. We attended a special session together with the NIDO and Tetra Pak and Wageningen University again. And here's someone, the Saulo, from the Brazilian government as well. And we attended a different session as well to discuss, the hidden middle, that is how we can really bring in support to all the middle chains that are not seen and can really make an impact in supporting to address sustainable food chains, counting with different organizations, understanding different experiences, sharing so much knowledge, and definitely discussing how we can move on, building a stronger collaboration to be able to raise funds, to drive different projects, and to make a difference on the ground on a local level. But as I said, it was not about only building connections and discussions within the COP pavilions, but throughout the city. And we could, really, meet people in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, make new connections and so on. This is a very interesting gathering that some companies were launching this recycling place in Belém. So it's a place that any person can bring in packaging for recycling, and they are reimbursed on a very fair price. So and that is why the recycling stream in Brazil is a social based stream, is a value based stream. So it's really important that we do bring this value to all the materials that are coming back to the recycling stream, so that we can support all the one involved. And in this case, also what was very special about this launch of this place is that it was the first project that went on based on a new law that we have in Brazil that allows companies to explore to donate revenues in order to support sustainability projects. Here's some coverage from the media, very nice. Our dear Lindy from Australia. We have from Italy, together with Alessandra, our member from the Italian Institute, different countries, even Team Cycles from Packaging Europe as well. So lots of repercussion, and that is so important, so that we build this awareness all together about the COP. And then definitely this is what Audin probably will talk about. What are the next steps? How can we keep on driving this discussion? And we are, really driving the food waste packaging design criteria that supports every company to take proper action and decisions in packaging development, making sure it is addressing packaging to avoid food loss and waste throughout the packaging journey and the product life cycle. So thank you so much. Just some pictures just to give you some idea of the environment, of the warm environment in Belém, but definitely a rich experience with, lots of learnings behind it. And even though, as I mentioned, for some, it wasn't enough what the outcomes from COP, In fact, 122 countries out of the 196 countries that were attending COP did drove some new establishments to combat the climate change. So the commitments were made, partnerships were established, and especially funding was being, redirected to found new projects and technologies, and to make sure we can meet that. And step by step, it's not a switch on, switch off, but it relies on us to work each step of this challenge. So
thank you so much, Luciana. I can really, you can feel it with every line. It made something with you being there, I guess, yeah, and having this experience, yeah. And it's also nice for me to say that there are some outcomes, as I mentioned, yeah. And you also said you saw it in the media and it was different there, yeah. That it is just we just see the governmental level, yeah? But not for sure seeing what is behind the scenes. Thank you for your report. Yeah? Before we go to Aldin, just one excuse. Nice greetings from Nerida. Yeah, she was on the invitation, I know, and she was also there on our preliminary COP webinar, COP30 webinar. She had to do an eye surgery, so she's not here. But I saw the photos in the morning. Everything is well. Everything went fine. Yeah, but she cannot be today with us. But for sure, as you know, when you see all these pictures of design for reducing food loss and waste, this is all Nerida's baby, and she is there, and Nerida will also, together with us, drive these things in future and in the next year. So thank you, Luciana. Aldin, for FSSC, it was also the first time being there, or can I say nearly being there, because you had some troubles with traveling. Nevertheless, what was your impression of the process, and what is your outtake of that COP30 thing?
Yeah, thank you very much, Johannes. Yeah, I'm very, very, very happy to be with Luciana again and Ali and yourselves, trying to come up with, with industry solutions to tackle, a big, big global challenge, the challenge of global warming, from a very specific industry, specific packaging industry lens, and be part of, the conversation here. And yeah, my trip to Brazil was actually quite special, as you know. I traveled all the way to Sao Paulo, but then the thing is, I forgot to fuel up my private jet that had to fly into Belém. So there was not a lot of jet fuel that I could use to get to Belém. So I decided to stay in Sao Paulo, which was also a very nice experience. So I was in Brazil, but yeah, it was not reaching the Belém site. But anyhow, I think Luciana did a fantastic job of providing us with all the insights that happened there on the ground. And I know, Ali, you've also been there, and we also had a local representative there from the Wageningen University, Ria, that also was present in the panel, and I participated remotely. I think, from my perspective, and hearing all the stories from Luciana and Ali about, what happened over there, I think, as part of the fact that, of course, government talks and government negotiations at the global scale is always challenging and very, very difficult. Progress has been made, as Luciana mentioned, by the Brazilian host, although maybe modest. From our perspective, I guess, we came in there to show that we're there, show that we work together as a coalition of the willing, of the ones that believe to solve a problem, and work with each other to be able to, to enable industry to do the right thing. And I believe that has been pretty powerful, in my opinion, at least so far. The talks that I've had with WPO, with UNIDO on the work that we do has shown me that, we as private sector representatives, if I may call ourselves like that, we have been able to define a clear common goal. And I think we've also been able to nicely fit the different, value propositions that we bring to the table to be working together alongside each other and reinforcing each other. I think my opinion is that's been very, very positive. So I think from a foundation FSSC perspective, so we run a very, very successful food safety management system certification scheme since 2009. There's many manufacturers that use us for their own manufacturing facilities, but also for their suppliers. But next to that, we have, I just looked it up on our website, we have 6,150 companies around the world that are certified. So we have a massive cloud of packaging industry businesses from small to very, very big that use our scheme to make sure that the packaging and the packaging materials that they produce are safe for being used in the food industry, right? So I think that has, brought us back to realize that we also need to use our scale and our influence to have a positive impact on the food loss and waste agenda. And I think this has first helped us in our version 6 of the scheme to include food loss and waste requirements that are applicable for food manufacturing operations around the world. And very recently, when we were discussing in Belém, our board has now also approved of our new version 7 that's about to be publicly released in April 27 to also add requirements that will be applicable for companies that have an element of designing food packaging materials and food packaging products. So that means that essentially in April, we will formally also publish the scheme and support the implementation of that. And I'm sure we'll have a number of webinars where we need also WPO and UNIDO support to be able to help those companies, be successful in their future inclusion of those new requirements in our scheme. And essentially, what we've done, we have not reinvented the wheel. We've said, look, there is so much expertise already and best practice out there in packaging industry that we can use, but we have to make sure it gets onto the radar screen of any company that's under the certification, meaning every year they will be audited by one of our licensed certification bodies, and they will be asked questions around the topic of food loss and waste. And that means they have to think about it. They have to prepare it. They have to make sure it's in their DNA, in their daily routines, in their daily way of working. And essentially, after discussing with our board before the summer, and also had extensive discussions with WPO, with Johannes, Nerida, and Luciana, we have basically operationalized the 5 principles that Luciana was referring to, the 5 design principles of WPO, which are pretty powerful. And the 5th principle is really about trying to think through what is the impact on food loss and waste of, designing food packaging materials and food packaging products. I think that's reinforcing the work that the fantastic work that WPO is doing, making it actionable for industry players. And of course, I mean, the paper that the Wageningen University has published around the balancing act, as Nerida is always calling it, I think has been an excellent start to also, give a lot more of scientific underpinning of why this is important. But I think even more important for industry practitioners is to be able to give them the tools, the practical tools, to make this happen in their design work, because this is really where the power lies. And I think the Wageningen University team is working on this tool as we speak. It's been facilitated by the support of UNIDO and ourselves. And I know the work is underway and will be, published throughout the course of next year. I have to say 2026. I think that is also a time that we have to be able to link, the new version of our schemes, the tools we have available, and help the companies to basically start implementing this and making smarter choices, more informed choices, and thereby also reducing through the work that the packaging industry does, and having an indirect impact on food loss and waste, make sure that this gets scale. I think other highlight that I have in my head, and I'm very much looking forward to, is the WPO board meetings and the Interpack trade show that is also on the map for next year, around the May timeline, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Johannes and Luciana. I will make sure that we go there with an FSSC team to help you support, to talk about this, to make sure that we as a team can have some meaningful discussions there and have the right materials and discussions with the right players there. The WPO board meeting, I'm of course really looking forward to see you face to face, right? Because Belém was not such a big perspective from getting there, but I'll make up for that. Don't worry about that. Let's see, what is the other thing that I was just thinking about when you were talking about, Luciana, was working together in connections. I think that is really powerful for us also to accelerate the work that we do, but also, make sure that we reach, a bigger scale and therefore a bigger impact with everything that we would. This is available to the world. We can only bring the horse to the water, but we cannot make it drink. But we have to bring the horse to the water, if you know what I mean. So we have to do better. We have to do more, and we need to be seen and be visible as the leaders of this powerful movement together. And last but not least, I think, the way we look at sustainability from an FSSC standpoint is also, I still like the holistic model of looking at people, planet, profit. So clearly, we're talking about the profit, the planet dimension. If we try and look for fighting climate change and bringing down greenhouse gas emissions through, focusing on food loss and waste. The people dimension, as you said, is as important because people ultimately, are impacted by the whole climate change crisis emerging. But I think the one dimension that I would personally like also to discuss more and understand better is the profit dimension. So if we want to be driving behavior of industry and businesses, the strongest argument I think still is that we can build a case that they can reduce, money, be more cost effective by thinking food loss and waste. So thinking about how can we utilize raw materials in a smarter manner so we can produce more edible products for human consumption, etc., etc. So I think the business case, the economic business case for what we're talking about here is also something we need to discuss more. We probably have to ask the Smart Wageningen science guys again to see if they have done more work on this. And we should be able to validate that with our influence in industry to kind of make sure that we can build some nice case studies to be able to bring that scale faster. So that would be my feedback on the short, very nice and very powerful and energetic introduction Luciana has done. And I'll give back the floor to you, Johannes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alvin. Yeah, and it's a little bit magic, yeah, because Luciana, you said it's all also about connection. It's about cooperation, collaboration, and I think this is also what brought along this COP30 thing. Not only, but if I see our three organizations now here again, WPO, FSSC, and UNIDO, yeah. There is really something going on and happening there, yeah. Because this is the thing. On the one hand side, for sure, we have to be on such conferences. On the other hand side, we all know together we have to bring it on the ground, and this is exactly what you said, Aldi. Yeah, and I think we should not underestimate that you incorporated it in your standards now, yeah. Because as you said, every company now will work on this, and it will be a topic, and they need knowledge then for this, yeah. And even if they just for every product think about 10 minutes about what's that change causing in food loss and food waste. This is so precious. Yeah. It's unbelievable. I'm really happy. So, but I have to look for time. Ali, UNIDO, you are the most senior guy. Well, I mean, not by age, I mean, yeah, maybe, but by experience. So, because you have been to many COPs, and also in your function as UNIDO, you are used to this big international conferences and discussions. And between us, you have been the driving force behind it also, to kick WPO and FSSC a little bit and to say again and again, hey, we have to be there. That's a big step. What is your impression? How was it there in Brazil?
Thank you, Johannes. Yes, definitely Nido and our colleagues, specifically in the climate change unit, they are really super active at the COP for the last years, because even the level of engagement is even higher. We are involved in supporting member states in the negotiations, in certain declarations, on the decarbonization of the industries, which is a big topic there. So yeah, UNIDO has been there as one of those important partners advocating for, the climate change agenda. And on the food loss and waste and food packaging, which is something we've never brought to the table. And that's why, for me, the fact that what Luciana and Aldin mentioned is for us a proof that, when we came last year, I still remember the face of Luciana and yourself and the board members when we said, we need to go to COP30, it's happening in Brazil. And I remember your nice reaction saying, a nice smile, but in your head, I can imagine what the heck is this, right? I mean, what is COP first and why we need to go there? So the fact that listening to the presentation of Luciana, I think it was a right choice. It was a right choice that you took the risk, you trusted UNIDO, and you see the outcome that seeing the flag of WPO there with a strong message, with a document that proved that there is a role for the food packaging to address food loss and waste. I think that was a nice story. And of course, this is only the milestone. This is not the end of the journey. So if I put what Luciana and Aldin confirmed how important this topic and how important this milestone was at the COP, and you put into the big picture and how we can build on this for the next steps, Luciana mentioned that we also brought in FSSC and WPO in the discussions around this coalition on the hidden middle. Because now the role of food packaging to address food loss and waste is all about promoting that packaging technologies, packaging innovations in the food sector, they are there. Why they are not implemented? Why there is no financing for these solutions to be deployed in the value chains, to be deployed for the country partners there? So that's the question. And in order to promote that we need financing for these technologies and innovations, we need to look at the big picture. And when we say the hidden middle, is all what's happening around value addition when it comes to food. The logistics, the packaging, the processing technologies. So that's why we are now integrating your message into a bigger message. And next year now, maybe with the remaining few minutes to think of the future, we made up the case in a solid way. We attracted attention to it. We attracted partners around the table. We packaged this message into the bigger picture, the hidden middle. And I think next year, there are two tracks, which I would like to be very specific and concrete, and also to be honest with those WPO members who trusted us and were waiting for us to tell them, okay, you went there, what is next? So point number one is that, as also Eldin mentioned, yes, we are finalizing the tool, because it's important that there's a practical tool in the hands of WPO members to try to use it and try to build their own cases and their own needs and their own messaging. So it's a country-specific one. The second one, it's actually now the responsibility back also on WPO members. And I think now you've seen in COP, and as Luciana reported, now it's governments went there. They made commitments. They made commitments for funding and commitments to address CO2 emissions. They made commitments on reducing food loss and waste. Now to translate these commitments into actions, and that was the slogan of the COP, is now up to each member state to take this seriously, take the commitments into actions, and we are there to support them. So my call to WPO members is actually to see who would like to step in now next year to join for a specific program for their own country. And that needs to come from there first. We need to see which members of WPO they would like to take the lead say, I'm interested to do this. I'm interested to build on the momentum you created at the COP30. And I would like to use this tool. I would like to work with WPO, with FSSC, with UNIDO, to build my country case and lobby with my government bodies who went to COP and negotiated and made commitments to access the financing to help you deploy these solutions for the food loss and waste reduction in your own countries. So that will be the exercise, because now we advocated for the case, we supported this with a science-based evidence, and now we need to turn this into actions. So this is like a call for action from WPO members to step in and say, I'm in, but also reminding them being in is a commitment. It's not just being in and you expect tomorrow to get something completely out of it. It's a journey, like the journey we took last year to position ourselves and to position your message into the COP30 to influence the financing there. Now it's your show. With our support, let's have 1, 2, 3 countries maybe announced in the next WPO board meeting, so we can announce who are the ones who stepped in and they put a proposal forward, worked with their governments to get commitment, and maybe we have even a program designed by them. So then we can together access finance to it, to implement and help you implement and use these tools and use all these capacities for you, for the interest of your country, your value chains, and your country commitments. What comes to my mind, the discussions we had in Sri Lanka. That's that country comes to my mind because it was just fresh from the oven. We've seen their commitments. We listened to the government, to the private sector. There's a good case there to start and build on that momentum. So that will be my reflection. Again, thank you for the trust. For me, this webinar is an evidence that, yes, you trusted us and we did not let you down. Second, it's a call for action. And let me leave this with a personal story from my visit to Belém, because yes, it's all about Amazonia, it's all about the amazing place there, but there's a personal story that touched my heart even on a human level, when I had to take the shuttle bus and leave back to my hotel, and there was, I wanted some support where I should stop, in which stop closer to my hotel. There was a chance, a local volunteer for the COP30, she said, I'll help you out. She took the bus with me to guide me where I should stop. On the way, she actually was in touch with her mother, because when she goes home, her mother waited her at the bus stop to take her from the bus stop to home. And actually, when we stopped at the bus stop, the mother spoke to the driver in the local language. I had no idea what they spoke about. And they asked me to wait. They instructed the driver where they should stop me. And it looks like they saw the driver taking a different route. It took like 10 extra minutes to get back to my hotel. I go into my hotel. I find the mother and the volunteer at the reception. They were worried about me, that if the bus took me somewhere else. And they actually walked to the hotel to wait and make sure I'm okay. And they gave me their phone number. So next time, if you need some help. This is something I take back from Brazil. This is something I take back from Belém. This, regardless of the climate change discussions, this was a personal story that really says that human beings are original by nature and there to help each other. If that spirit was in the negotiations of the COP30 between governments, we could have been in a different place. So thank you, Johannes. Over to you.
Thank you for this words, Ali. Thank you. Yeah, and it's always a personal touch. Yeah, I think it's at the end, it's about people, and this is also this is my outcome of 25 years packaging business. Yeah, at the end, it's about people. Yeah, it's about human beings. We are using packaging should be there for us, yeah? And we use it, and we have our expectations. Yeah. That's great, thank you. So we have 5 minutes at least for some questions and discussions, but it's quite quiet in the question and answer section. So I take my fortune. Yeah, you were talking about. So if I conclude it together, there are 2, 3 big things. On the one hand side, we heard about the FSSC is coming up with their new scheme where food loss and waste, also in packaging design, is included. It will be there in April, and we can also talk about this at Interpack in May, early May in Düsseldorf, in Germany. On the other hand side, Ali and Luciana, you talked about the tool. What can I Well, I know for sure because we had discussions, but for our audience, what is the tool about? What is it? You have to unmute.
Lee, do you want to comment on it?
Yeah, please.
You mentioned a little bit. Yeah.
Can you
I
tell
think
us
Ali.
something about that tool?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you
Ali,
talking about?
yeah. So this is the next step. I mean, oh, you want to comment, Ali? No? Okay. I mean, we have this document that bring science data, that bring, I mean, guidelines on how we can drive sustainable food chains, and how packaging plays a role, and also how we balance sustainable packaging solutions, supporting food chains to avoid loss and waste. But exactly, this is a document, this is theory. So we understood, I mean, how we can make out of it as a tool, so that it can be applied on a local level as a self-assessment tool to empower not only WPO members, as Ali was saying, I mean, really to invite and engage WPO members and empower them to drive the solution, to drive, I mean, really projects on how packaging can be used and how the industry is there to support food chains, but also to empower society to be able to map where are the gaps, because it's not a one answer fits all. In each region, in each food chain, there may be one specific challenge, one specific gap where the significant waste or loss is taking place. So it's really about looking on a local level on specific food chains in that specific region, in that specific case. And this is what this tool is about. So together again with Wageningen University, now I saw Aldin's saying the name, so I know I was saying it so wrong. So it's like Wageningen University. I mean, they are supporting on developing this tool, and should be, I mean, it will be launched in 2026, so not taking too long. And this tool is a self-assessment tool. I mean, really to empower all the ones that want to drive solutions and drive on, I mean, based or again on data and understanding where are the significant gaps, and how, and then through them, how can we drive, I mean, bring in packaging and drive, I mean, new technologies and systems that will avoid the loss or the waste, right?
So that makes sense. That means we will have a tool for self-assessment and assessment of the situation, food loss and waste and packaging in a country, in a region, for a supply chain or whatever. And this is then logical. We need some countries, some WPO members, or something like this to test this tool or to develop this tool. We need some cooperation partners because we have to test it on the ground. It should not be just in the books. It should work on the ground in real work. And this is what to test. Ali?
And if I may, it also like it equipped the member of WPO in their own country with an evidence-based conclusion that there's an opportunity for some investments in the food packaging interventions to reduce food loss and waste, which is a commitment that the government did in the COP. So it's like helping also the country saying, I have an evidence where I should interfere to simply help the government to comply with its commitment and advocate for financing to implement these interventions. So because you can talk about food loss and waste forever, but if you don't have an evidence that I can do this and these and these interventions across this value chain, which will reduce this amount of CO2 and this amount of food loss and waste, you cannot argue for financing. And I just saw a question, even interesting one on the chat, if you allow me to pick it up.
It would be my next step, please.
It's really an important one. Yes, it's a sad truth. Yes, until COP28 in Dubai, when they came up with the food system declaration, the narrative on food loss and waste was not that really visible on the table, and even the whole food system transformation matter was not that high on the agenda, simply because also the NDCs, these nationally determined commitments of the government, when you look at it like 3-4 years back, you hardly find any reference on their commitments related to reducing food loss and waste. Now we start this to see coming in an end, because governments used to say, I want to add this climate change by focusing on this and this and this. but not really much on the food system, not very much on the food loss and waste. Now it's picking up, and that's why it was timely to say, okay, if governments decided to address food loss and waste as an area related to climate change, yeah, food packaging is a solution, could help you out in this commitment, and that's what we are advocating for.
And that's the nice thing, because you reported that already 160 countries have said, yes, it is a topic. Yeah? So nearly the whole world is behind us and say, yes, let's do something on this. It was our step to take that. We say, yes, packaging plays a role there. Yeah? For sure, we have to optimize food supply chains, but also packaging plays its role there. And this is what we should focus on. What just came to my idea now in hearing this discussion, yeah, is maybe it's even a window of opportunity, okay? Because what we saw in Belém, it's more and more difficult for governments to reduce fossil fuels or reduce oil and gas, yeah? Because it's politically not that easy. But on the other hand side, that means they need stronger action on other sectors, yeah? And as we heard, food loss and waste, it's a big player in climate gases, in greenhouse gases. Yeah. So maybe this is also a good argument. Okay, if you cannot go further on fossil fuels, yeah, let's focus on that reducing food loss and waste. Yeah, because there everybody agrees that we should do something and that we can do something. And as you mentioned, Aldi and Luciana, there are the solutions and we have the strategies there. Yeah, so it's low-hanging fruits maybe. And it's a window of opportunity. So,
if I may add one thing, Johannes, is what I would say is, I mean, I think, okay, it's on the map, it's on the radar screen of the government. We have to make this, the biggest challenge obviously is to make this actionable, right? So the fact that in our scheme, we have been able to make sure that our companies need to have a policy and may have to set smart objectives means that it becomes a business objective. So that means, as they always say, what gets measured gets managed. So if you can, to Ali's point, if you can start identifying, what is the potential to improve with the data, right? Start measuring so you know how much better you could be doing by implementing best practice, using the tools, saving money, etc., then this will automatically, be picked up by companies that, get it. So it's first the awareness, then it's, how do I put it on the, inside the business strategy of any given company? But you have to start actioning it. You have to make it smart and start measuring and then improving over time. I think that will be very powerful for an individual company, for a whole sector, and ultimately for the world. So that also will help us to demonstrate our true impact that we have through the collaboration that we discuss here.
Yeah, absolutely true. And we have to close anyhow by this, just adding, and then also showing that you can make money with it. Yeah, this is also about economy and business. Yeah, and that is also about society. This will be our task also for the next year. So thank you so much for being with us. Stay tuned. Yeah, we have some holidays. I think all of us need it now. Yeah, some days of vacation. But after this, be prepared. There is much more in the pipeline on this topic, and we won't be silent until the thing is really settled. So have some nice holidays. Thank you, Luciana. Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Aldin. Yeah, not to mix it up. Nice greetings to Nerita down there in Australia. See you all latest next year. We'll keep tuned on reducing food loss and food waste and saving the climate here on this planet.
Thank you, Johannes.
Bye-bye.
Thank you to you all. Bye-bye.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.